Hello and welcome to my channel. Well, I got another radio, but this is not so much about um, all the features and everything of this radio. It's what I had to do to fix it. I got it in yesterday, and I was going through the different bands. This one's digital, so it'll do digital tuning through bands. That's why there's no knobs and stuff like that. You just use scans and buttons. Well, I was going through the different bands, and of all the bands that that I had a problem with, AM. I couldn't get anything on AM. Not a single station. That's not right. This thing will pick up AM. Any radio I got here will pick up AM. So what to do? I tried it manually. I tried it scan sweep and everything. Look, they gave me 4 screws, all right? I can't resist. Whenever, yeah, you go through this dilemma of, if I do this, I probably void any warranty. It had a 1-year warranty. You're probably going to void any warranty you've got, doing this. Oh well. Curiosity, I'm curious as to why an AM, of all things, would not work in a shortwave radio. AM, FM works. They're just little Phillips head screws. Of course, you got to have a narrow shaft to get in there. But this is my Weehaw setup, so it has no problem. Just gotta make sure I'm putting it on a screw head. What am I doing? Sorry, I'm blind. I'm here trying to look at it. Alright, there it is. I still need to do this bottom one down here. Alright. If you ever do this, you got to be aware of buttons and all this other stuff. The potential of things falling apart and things are not supposed to be done this way and all that. But I just cracked it right here. Now, it keeps wanting to turn on because touching buttons and stuff. But there's a little lip it's got on one side over here. There's little pieces of plastic on this side that it grabs a hold. There we go. It sounds like it's breaking, but it's not. Anyway. Down here is your AM antenna. You see all these extra little ones? This was very difficult, this sticky foamy tape, because look first, these 2 wires were crossed right here. And then I lifted this up and I found out that here's your AM antenna. It's just a ferrite rod with a copper wire wrapped around it. The leads are exposed because it's an antenna, but look what they had all this extra wire they threw over here and everything. So what I did was I made sure that these guys were not touching each other, because electronically, electricity is going to take the path of the least resistance. And what I was doing, I was using my little toothpick knife, and I touched the lead right here on an antenna, milliwave antenna, medium wave. I touched with this and I started getting a signal. And I went, what? This thing's acting like an antenna. Well, then obviously there's something wrong, and that's when I saw that it was crossed right there. And then I lifted this up, and somebody just had an extra piece of wire, and rather than do anything with it properly, everything, they just wadded it all up, so it was really all shorted together in here also. And I separated as much as I could and tried not to touch it, because this will stick to that copper wire. And then I reseated this, And there's your little battery. There's your LED light bulbs. Your headphone jack. And this is where your voltage comes in for charging the battery. There's your rod antenna. Here are your little micro switches. So there's kind of a little lip or whatever that the first time I tightened it up, it was not all sealed over here. See that? See that little tab right there? You got to get that guy in first. And it kind of hinges like this. Once you got that back together, you just put the screws in there. So, if you're wondering, that's as far as I'm going to disassemble it because this thing works. And then afterwards, I get all kinds of AM. So, quality control, you know, this is only a $26 or so radio. So it is double the price of the little one, but it was giving me capabilities of, it can do a memo scan where it's setting up presets. So what it does, it'll just go through whichever band you're on when you hit that, and it'll sweep. Now shortwave, it takes it about it seems like about 5 minutes to sweep the entire band because it goes from 4 to 22 megahertz, kilohertz, whatever it is. And this other screw ran off too. Missing a screw. Please stand by. It was hiding underneath right by this knife up here. Right? So I got all the screws back in. Let's turn it on. That's shortwave.
Lows in the mid-set.
There's AM. Those are done the presets.
And by the way, they have a lady there in her 90s without any aging spots in her skin.
See how strong that
skin, no
signal is?
Whatsoever. People
It wasn't
into their
getting
80s
anything.
and 90s look a
Like
lot
I said,
younger. They have a little extra, so they come.
Anyway, to scan, you just hold down this memo scan, you know, it runs through, it finds channels through the whole frequency, and then it stops and you can just jump through the different channels. That's what I do with shortwave also.
Well, that's, I mean, that is.
Excuse me. I hit it once up here, the power button, that's a pause, and you hold down and it'll just turn off. I'll go over the features and everything of this. It came with a little clip-on antenna that I ran outside, and it really helped pick up shortwave stations. But I pick up about 13 or 14 shortwave stations when it sweeps the entire band. Like in the morning and stuff is when I just did it. And of that, 90% of those are religious stations. And I'm talking Christianity. It'd be different if it was talking Buddha, and, you know, it might be interesting to listen to it. But I've heard enough Christianity all my life, so that's not as interesting to me as if it would have been a different religion. But anyways, it's just something to do. It's from here, you just go up in price. The next highest one, I think that would be, if you really want to geek out, there's one that has nothing. It's just that's what it's called, software defined radio. It's basically all the bands and everything, but there's one called ATS, and the problem with that one is you have to do firmware updates and stuff like that, and use Wi-Fi, and I don't have Wi-Fi in here, and I'm not going to do all that. I mean, you could do it through a laptop. Again, I don't have a laptop, and that's around $100 and something. So no, you know, not for 14 stations. Yeah, maybe I could pick up more and everything, but I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep myself from diving too deeply into this rabbit hole that I've already dived into. But yeah, this thing, I mean, it's not bad. It's got, like I said, the built-in battery, you know, hinders a lot of people. But you saw how easy it was to pop that top off. And I could definitely find another battery to put in there if it ever died out. But, I mean, it has a lot of different things that it can do. You know, sleep timer and Bluetooth. The weather band works. You know, there's all that, and then it just goes through. You know, it's got a stereo headset, a little flashlight up there, a really loud alarm, one of those wee, wee, wee. I mean, it's loud. I don't know what you would need the SOS siren for, but if you do, man, it's not one of those little cheesy, chintzy ones. It really works well. I took that wire and put it out on the balcony and sat there and got eaten up by mosquitoes. But yeah, so there is an advantage to digital tuning, you know, sweeping the whole bands, because to sweep the whole frequency with this guy, I mean, that's half the fun, but you got to switch to one band and then sweep it, you know, and then switch to another band and then sweep. This thing will go through the entire spectrum and pick up strong signals, and then you just go through and look at the presets. That's time saving. So anyways, yeah, just a little update there on troubleshooting radios. I didn't think I'd need to do it, but you know, to me it's more of a pain. Here's what would have happened. I got it last night, you know, like about 6 p.m. All right, so I get the radio. Yeah, I mostly wanted it for shortwave, but I'd like a functioning radio. I started thinking to myself, well, so AM doesn't work. Carry another radio with you if you want to listen to AM. It's like, it's the principle of the thing. It should work. It should work. You used to work on electronics and aircraft electronics and everything else. You should be able to figure this out. And that's what convinced me to do it. Unfortunately, I don't have to put this on it right here. Wah, wah, wah. Because that's what happens anytime you crack a radio or anything like that that's got a warranty on it. You just take that chance that you're going to screw it up. But anyways, I didn't. It came out good. I learned something. And there you go. Thanks for putting up with me. I'm still tinkering around with electronics, having fun with that. But I will get back to knives. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.